Hi friends, I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to Learn English with Stories. In this story, ever had one of those days where everything seems to go hilariously wrong? Join Jake as he navigates a rainy day full of funny mishaps and unexpected surprises. Stay tuned to see how he turns a series of small disasters into a day to remember. On a gloomy rainy morning, Jake, a cheerful young adult, wakes up to the sound of raindrops tapping against his window. He stretches and yawns, deciding to make the most of the day despite the weather. After a quick breakfast, Jake grabs his umbrella, slips on his raincoat, and heads out the door with a smile. The bustling city seems quieter under the rain, with people huddled under umbrellas and rushing to their destinations. As he steps outside, a gust of wind flips his umbrella inside out, causing him to laugh at his own misfortune. He struggles with the umbrella for a moment, drawing amused glances from passers-by before giving up and deciding to brave the rain. His first stop is the local cafe, where he greets the barista, Emma, with a friendly nod and orders his usual cappuccino. The two exchange light-hearted banter about the weather, and Jake spills his coffee as he reaches for a napkin, prompting a playful scolding from Emma. Undeterred, Jake continues his journey to the library, where he plans to spend the morning catching up on his reading. Along the way, he bumps into an old friend, Max, who invites him to join a small group for lunch later. Jake eagerly accepts, grateful for the unexpected invitation. As he reaches the library, Jake realizes he has left his book at home. Chuckling at his forgetfulness, he decides to explore the library's new arrivals instead. The morning's mishaps seem to add a touch of adventure to his day, and Jake embraces each moment with an easygoing attitude. Jake's first stop is the local cafe, where he plans to grab a warm cup of coffee to lift his spirits on this dreary day. As he enters the cozy cafe, the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee envelops him. He shakes off the excess water from his coat, accidentally splashing a nearby customer. Embarrassed, Jake quickly apologizes. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to splash you." The customer, a middle-aged woman with a kind smile, chuckles and replies, "No worries, it happens." Jake smiles back, feeling a bit more at ease. He makes his way to the counter, where he is greeted by the familiar face of Emma, the friendly barista. "The usual cappuccino, Jake?" she asks with a warm grin. "You know me too well, Emma," he replies. As he waits for his coffee, Jake engages in light-hearted banter with Emma, discussing the relentless rain and their weekend plans. When his coffee is ready, he takes a cautious sip, savoring the warmth. Just as he reaches for a napkin, he accidentally spills a bit of his drink on the counter, prompting a playful scolding from Emma. "Careful there, Jake. We don't want any more messes today." Laughing, Jake cleans up the spill and thanks Emma, before heading to a corner table. He glances around the cafe, noticing the relaxed atmosphere, with people engrossed in their books or laptops. Jake pulls out his phone and checks his messages, finding one from an old friend, Max, inviting him to join a small group for lunch. Delighted by the unexpected invitation, Jake eagerly replies, accepting the offer. He finishes his coffee and prepares to continue his day, feeling grateful for the small moments of connection and kindness that brighten his rainy morning. Jake orders his coffee and sits by the window, watching the rain pour down in steady streams, creating a soothing rhythm against the glass. The world outside seems muted and peaceful, with people huddling under umbrellas and cars splashing through puddles. As he sips his drink, savoring the warmth and rich flavor, Jake suddenly realizes he's forgotten his wallet at home. A wave of embarrassment washes over him, and he glances nervously around the cafe. Summoning his courage, he approaches the barista and sheepishly explains, "I think I left my wallet at home. Can I come back later to pay?" The barista, Emma, who recognizes Jake as a regular, gives him a reassuring smile and nods. "Sure, Just don't forget next time." Relieved, Jake thanks her profusely and returns to his seat. As he sits back down, he overhears a conversation at the next table about a local art exhibit. Curious and feeling a bit more adventurous, Jake decides to visit the exhibit after his library stop. He finishes his coffee, watching as the rain intensifies outside, creating a dreamy, almost surreal atmosphere. Gathering his things, he bids Emma goodbye and steps back into the rain, his mood considerably lighter despite the gloomy weather. The library is his next destination, and he quickens his pace, eager to get lost in a good book. Upon arriving at the library, he wipes his feet on the mat and shakes off his wet coat. The quiet, warm environment is a welcome contrast to the cold, rainy streets. Jake heads to his favorite section, only to realize he left his book at home. Chuckling at his forgetfulness, he browses the new arrivals instead, finding a novel that piques his interest. As he settles into a comfortable chair, he notices the time and remembers his lunch invitation from Max. Excited at the prospect of catching up with an old friend, Jake sends a quick message confirming their meeting. With the rain softly pattering against the library windows, Jake loses himself in the story, feeling content and grateful for the unexpected turns his day has taken. Leaving the cafe, Jake heads to the bus stop, hoping to catch a bus to the grocery store to pick up a few essentials. The rain has eased slightly, but the sky remains overcast. As he waits at the stop, he absent-mindedly checks his pockets for his phone, only to realize he left it charging at home. A wave of frustration hits him. Today seems to be one mishap after another. Determined not to let this dampen his spirits, he decides to carry on and make the best of it. When the bus arrives, Jake steps on board and finds it crowded with commuters seeking refuge from the rain. As he navigates through the aisle, he accidentally steps on someone's foot. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see your foot there." Jake apologizes sincerely. The person, a young woman with earphones in, pulls out one earphone and nods with a forgiving smile, indicating that it's no big deal. Jake breathes a sigh of relief and finds a seat near the back. The bus jolts forward, and he watches the city pass by through the rain-speckled windows. The rhythmic sound of the engine and the murmur of passengers create a comforting backdrop. As the bus winds through familiar streets, Jake's thoughts drift. He mentally runs through his grocery list, hoping he remembers everything without his phone's list to guide him. The bus stops frequently, each time allowing more rain-soaked passengers to board. Despite the crowded conditions, there's a sense of shared experience among everyone, all bound by the dreary weather and the mundane necessity of public transport. When the bus finally reaches his stop, Jake disembarks and heads into the grocery store, greeted by the bright, warm lights and the scent of fresh produce. He grabs a basket and starts picking up items, using his memory to navigate through the aisles. Occasionally, he runs into other shoppers, exchanging polite smiles and nods. Despite his earlier frustrations, Jake finds a certain rhythm and peace in the routine of shopping. After gathering all he needs, he heads to the checkout, his basket full and his spirits lifted. As he leaves the store, bags in hand, he notices the rain has stopped and the clouds are beginning to part, revealing a sliver of blue sky. With renewed optimism, Jake decides to walk home, enjoying the fresh post-rain air. The day's challenges seem minor now, each one a small part of a larger, unexpectedly rewarding day. At the grocery store, Jake realizes he left his shopping list at home. He mutters to himself, trying to remember the items he needs. Milk, bread, eggs. What else? As he wanders through the aisles, he accidentally knocks over a stack of cereal boxes while reaching for a can on a high shelf. Embarrassed but amused, Jake quickly tries to tidy up. An employee notices and helps him, saying, "Don't worry, it happens to everyone." Relieved, Jake thanks her and resumes shopping. adding items to his basket and hoping he hasn't forgotten anything important. He picks up a few impulse buys, like chocolate and soda, reasoning he deserves a treat after the day's mishaps. In the dairy aisle, he helps his elderly neighbor, Mrs. Wilson, with a heavy carton of milk, which lifts his spirits. At the checkout, he makes small talk with the cashier and pays for his groceries. As he steps outside, the rain has stopped, and the clouds are breaking apart, allowing sunlight to peek through. Feeling accomplished, Jake decides to walk home, enjoying the fresh air and reflecting on the day's small adventures and moments of kindness. Despite the initial frustrations, the day has turned out better than he anticipated. After finishing his shopping, Jake heads to the checkout, only to realize with a sinking feeling that he still doesn't have his wallet. Trying to lighten the mood, he laughs nervously and says to the cashier, "Can I leave these here while I run home to get my wallet?" The cashier, or a young woman with a kind smile, agrees without hesitation. "Sure, no problem, just be quick." Relieved, Jake rushes out into the rain, the cool droplets soaking through his coat. As he hurries back home, the rain intensifies, making the streets slick and treacherous. In his haste, Jake slips on a puddle, crashing to the ground and getting mud splattered all over his clothes. He sits there for a moment, stunned, before standing up, brushing the mud off his coat and pants and shaking his head with a rueful smile. Despite his frustration, he's determined to complete his errands. Jake continues his soggy trek back to the store, the rain now mingling with the dirt on his clothes, giving him a bedraggled appearance. When he finally returns to the store, he's drenched and covered in mud. The cashier looks up, chuckling at his disheveled state. "Rough day, huh?" she asks with a sympathetic grin. Jake, still catching his breath and feeling a bit embarrassed, nods and replies with a weary but good-natured smile, "You have no idea." He pays for his groceries, the weight of his earlier misadventures lightened by the cashier's friendly demeanor. As he exits the store, the rain has finally stopped, leaving behind a wet but refreshing atmosphere. Jake heads home with a sense of accomplishment, reflecting on the day's small trials and the unexpected moments of humor and humanity that made it memorable. Despite the mishaps, he feels grateful for the small victories and the kindness of those he encountered. With his groceries in hand, Jake finally heads home, feeling a sense of accomplishment despite the day's numerous challenges. He arrives at his cozy apartment, a small haven away from the persistent rain. As he steps inside, he removes his muddy coat and shoes, tossing them into the laundry basket. He quickly changes into dry, comfortable clothes, feeling the warmth and comfort of his home envelop him. Heading to the kitchen, Jake starts preparing a warm meal, the rich aromas of simmering vegetables and roasting garlic filling the air. He sets the table with a simple but satisfying dinner of homemade soup and freshly baked bread. As he sits down to eat, he takes a moment to savor the meal, feeling the warmth spread through him and chase away the chill from the day's weather. Spoon in hand, Jake reflects on the day's events, chuckling to himself about the string of misadventures. From the forgotten wallet to the muddy mishap, each moment seemed like a minor disaster at the time, but now they seem like endearing stories to tell. He realizes that even on a rainy, chaotic day, he was able to find humor and resilience in the little things. With each bite of his meal, Jake appreciates the simple pleasures and the unexpected kindnesses he experienced. The friendly cashier, the helpful employee at the grocery store, and even his own determination to overcome the day's hurdles all contribute to a feeling of contentment. He recognizes that it's often these small, seemingly insignificant moments that add up to a fulfilling day. As he finishes his meal, he feels a renewed sense of gratitude for the day's challenges and the lessons they brought, affirming that every day, no matter how rainy or troublesome, has its own unique beauty and value. Thanks for watching. Remember, learning English can be fun and full of surprises. If you enjoy this story, Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Subscribe, learn English with stories, and press the bell icon. Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.